Today I thought it'd be fun to do a little paint and chat video. Hey creatives, welcome or welcome back. I'm Michelle, and like I said, today we are going to do a little paint and chat. I managed to hit record on a couple pieces that I was working on, and I thought it would be fun just to let those play and do a little chat as I let you guys kind of see my process and how I go through it. So yeah, let's go. Alright, so the first one I'm doing in gouache, it was a photo reference I got off of Pinterest of this cute girl with her little bandana and her cool shades, and I'm just using my my Canson mixed media book. I had drawn this first in a different sketchbook, and then what I did was I used my graphite on the back and then traced it out onto the watercolor or the mixed media sketchbook, and so that would make it easier, and I wasn't making a lot of mess in my mixed media sketchbook, and I would just have a straight up drawing. So that's what I did, is I transferred it onto that just to get the basic outlines. I just find that's a better way. Then I can kind of get messy with my sketches in my regular, cheap sketchbook, and then just get the good outline that I need and then paint it. So I'm using gouache for this one, and I don't think I've actually used gouache before to do like skin and face and like a portrait. And I really struggle with this one. You can see as I go along, I'm end up doing a lot of layers over top of each other because I'm struggling with like getting the shading and the shadows right on her face. The thing with gouache is that you can't really blend it. You just have to kind of layer one chunk of color over another. So you're kind of using shapes and lines to make your artwork, not so much blending it like you would with, say, some other mediums like acrylic or even pencil, like acrylic pencil, or any of those mediums where it's easier to shade and blend things in. So yeah, I was struggling with this gouache. And I think I'm gonna have to do some serious maybe tutorials or take some classes on painting portraits and faces and learning how to shade the proper, like all the different planes in the face and the colors, because it's something I definitely need to learn about. I'm just kind of, winging it as I go. I have no idea what I'm doing, as you can see. Like, but excuse me, the thing is, like with art, is you have to practice, because you don't know how things are going to turn out until you actually do it yourself. You can watch all the videos in the world, but until you actually do it with your own, pencil or your own paintbrush, you don't really know how the medium's going to work for you, or how, technically it is going to lay down. So you have to practice it, and in the practicing is where you're going to get better. So the best piece of advice that I have for anybody, for anything really, is to just start messy. Because if you're like me, you can definitely procrastinate and overanalyze till the cows come home of how to do something. And then you worry about not starting it until you think you know everything about it, because you want to do it right and you don't want to make mistakes, or you don't want it to look ugly or messy. But you really do need to start messy. I think that's the best advice that I can give to anybody doing anything, especially with art. You need to start messy. You need to play around. You need to have something that you can practice over and over and over again until you get better at it. Like, nobody is born a professional, or nobody is born like a skilled specialist in something. Anyone that you see that is really good at anything, could be art, could be a sport, it could be anything, these people have put in tons and tons of hours of practice and repetition and trying things and doing it over and over and over until things become, muscle memory to you. So you have to be willing to just get started and get messy and make mistakes and fail at things. Can't be afraid to fail, because failure is just learning. Without failure, you can't improve, you can't get better. And so I always tell myself that too when I make things that I don't like. Like in this one here, I love a lot of aspects about it. I love the hair and the bandana and the top ended up. I don't love the way that like I said, the skin and the paint of her skin, her face, her neck turned out, and I think the glasses turned out too thick. They look more like Elvis glasses than Ray-Bans, because the gold liner that I'm using is the tip is not that fine, and I didn't realize how thick it was until I started putting it down. But these are things I'm learning, and next time I'll know that I need a finer line gold pen if I want to use it in details on paintings like this, and leave the chunkier tip to something maybe a little more abstract, or just where a situation calls for it. But again, I didn't know until I tried it, and I was getting messy. And like I said, there's things about this particular piece that I love and things that I don't love, and that I know I can take those lessons and use them, in the next piece that I do. I can learn and say, oh, I'm not going to make that mistake again, or I like the way this turned out. I'm going to use this technique again, or this effect again, or the way I, painted something or shaded something or outlined something. I'll use that again, or I won't use it again. It's all in the process, and you need to enjoy it as well. Like, you need to enjoy the process. If you don't like the process of learning and getting messy and trying things out and experimenting, you probably won't like art. But if you're watching this, I'm assuming that you do like art and that you make art. Maybe you're sitting here watching a whole bunch of other people's videos, like I've done a million times, and you're like, oh, they're really good at what they do. I love the way they do that. I can never do that, and then you never actually get out your sketchbooks and your paints or pencils and actually try it. You need to try it. You need to, I'll say it 100 times, you need to just start messy. And it's the biggest thing that people have to get over. Like, I will definitely overanalyze something until I'm blue in the face. And sometimes I just have to yell at myself and say, just get started. And then I do. So, which is why I now have this YouTube channel. So here we're on to our second piece. And again, I've gone back to my lovely girlies with no face from the back or the side, with buns and big coats or sweaters. If you've seen any of my other videos, or even checked out my Instagram, you would see that I like to do these. So I'm using my Gambi Tenzi watercolors from Kuretake, which I absolutely love working with this stuff, as such a pigmented, kind of thick watercolor, but you can really water it down and get some nice effects with it. So I love experimenting with this stuff. This was another reference I did get off Pinterest, I believe. The background was all kind of blurry, blurred out, and I wanted to kind of capture some of the same colors that were in it. So I'm using like an indigo, a gray, and like a little brighter, almost like a periwinkle blue. And so I just start off by really layering in some of the colors and mixing them up so that I'm kind of, till I get happy with it. And the thing I like about these is, like, I like to start, if I'm doing a huge area with these that I want to cover, I will wet the entire area first, like you saw me do, and then I will drop in the color where I see it. And then you can, because it's wet, you can still mix it up and move it around for quite a while, actually, until it dries, and until you are happy with the way that the color is laying down. But the most magical thing about these paints, which is like all watercolor, I guess, is that you put it down how it's kind of pleasing to your eye, but the magic is when it dries, is you don't know how it's going to end up drying, and you see the most beautiful patterns and shapes kind of appear as it's drying. And another trick that I like to use is the dabbing of the water, the splattering, I guess, of the water into the paint as it's drying, because it leaves just those beautiful blooms. And I don't know, I just, something so cool about it, because for someone that likes to have control over things, like I do sometimes, you can't control how that's going to end up. So you have to kind of surrender to the process of using mediums like watercolor, because you don't know exactly how it's going to turn out. You can do the basic shapes, but when you're doing these big washes with the colors, I just like look at the way, the blues and the grays kind of mix in with each other, and you get all those beautiful, the white and lighter blooms from adding the water splatters. I just love it. That's probably one of my favorite parts of using this stuff. So yeah, now I'm moving on to her coat, and it's just a nice gray wool coat, and she's holding it up with her with her hand. Now, unfortunately, when I drew this, the picture I was using, it really just cut off at her thumb. But I had to keep drawing, and I didn't really draw that very well, so I just kind of made it up. But I think if I crop this to, like, say, put on Instagram or something, I'll probably crop it off so it just shows her thumb on the left hand side. That's just a me thing. You guys probably didn't even notice, but something I was thinking of. So I'm just gonna go in and play around with the gray until I have the colors and the shades exactly where I want. So this picture, the light is coming like directly from kind of in front to the right. So it's just hitting a really white highlight on her right shoulder, and then you'll see a little bit of halo around her hair once I do it. So there's just a couple spots where you're just getting these really nice highlights. So I'm trying to leave some parts white to maintain the highlights there, and then I'm just going in and shading the darker areas and using it a little more opaque in the areas that I want really dark, and then kind of trying to lighten and water it down to the areas where it's shading out or towards the highlights. So again, just playing around with this stuff. I have no idea what I'm doing. I just kind of play around and do what I think makes sense. And, again, I'm starting messy and playing around as I go. And through trial and tribulation, I'm figuring out with these materials what it is that I like about them and how I like to use them. And I've done a ton of stuff that I'm not going to show anybody because they were just for me to kind of figure out stuff. And that's the thing about trying stuff. You can practice a ton, and you can make stuff that never has to see the light of day. You can practice a bunch of stuff and throw it in the garbage and never show anyone, and not worry about it ever again. Or you can keep it all as kind of proof of your process, and so that you have something to look back on. Say, like, 1 year later, you can go back to the pieces that you were working on when you just got started, and you can see your improvement and you can see your progress, because it doesn't feel like it all the time. Like, sometimes progress is super slow and steady, and it's just like if you work at it every day, like what they say, like 1% better every day, at the end of a year, think about how much better you're going to be than when you started. So don't get hard on yourself that you think you're not good. Don't beat yourself up and say, I can't do this. I don't do something as well as someone else that I see online or, in magazines or books. You really just have to give yourself some slack and some, compassion to your own self of how you're doing. Just make it, just do it, and just practice. I love doing this stuff. I'm so glad that I'm getting back into art, because I forgot how much fun it is. I forgot how much fun it is to play and create and experiment and try stuff. Like, I'm such a visual person. Like, I just can't get enough of it. After looking at everyone else's art for so many years, I'm really happy that I'm back into making my own again, because there's such a satisfaction out of it. And there's so many different kinds of art. You could just get out some really chunky paintbrushes and make really, even like almost childlike primary paintings, and it looks beautiful. And then there's some people that can do like amazing photorealism, and something looks just like a photograph from far away. And I like to try all of these things. What I find that I'm really liking is a combination of loose, abstract, expressive areas, and then using some fine details in some portion of my art. so that I can kind of satisfy my need to do the tiny details that I love to do, but also, learn and experiment how to do the expressive stuff and let go of the process and that, and surrender to what the outcome's going to be. And if I can combine those two things, like, that really makes me happy. So I'm just going to continue on here, playing around with my paint until I get it right. Then I'm going to move on to her hair and glasses, and I think I'm going to stop talking for now, maybe put on some music and let you finish watching as I finish off this picture. And I would love to hear in the comments, like, what it is that you're experimenting with right now and what you're working on in your art, and what you find the most challenging about art, and also what you love the most about it. I like to get conversations going, and I love to hear comments from you guys that are watching my videos of where you are in your journey right now. It just makes me so happy, and kind of start to feel connected to other artists around the world. And I love making these videos because it's, again, another creative thing that I'm practicing and starting messy, because maybe a lot of these videos that you're watching right now, I'll look back on and be like, what the heck was I thinking? But like I said, you got to start somewhere. You need something to edit and improve and work on and practice. So I hope all of you enjoy practicing and creating your art, and enjoy the rest of the video, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, guys.
Baby, you give me some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, but I don't wanna jinx it, baby. Let's not get ahead of my time. Oh, but I don't wanna miss you, baby. So I stand up and speak my mind. Oh. You're chilling when the rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're channeling wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high.
All right, well, that's it for today. If you've stuck around this long, thanks for watching. I hope that you enjoyed that little paint and chat. And if you have any questions or anything that you want to know about or want me to do videos on, just please leave it in the comments. I'm happy to know what it is you guys are interested in watching or knowing. And I just love to hear from you guys in the comments, period. So I just love to know what everyone else is up to on the same art journey as well. So again, thanks for watching. Have a great day, and we'll see you in the next video.